They thought throwing me out into the rain was their victory, but they didn't realize they had just lost everything because they forgot to check whose signature was actually on the back of that winning ticket. They kicked me out into the rain thinking they won $50 million. But they forgot to check one small detail: whose name was actually signed on the back of the ticket. The wind in Chicago has a cruel way of cutting right through your coat, finding the shivering skin underneath. But that night, as I stood on the sidewalk with my entire life packed into 2 black garbage bags, the freezing air felt warmer than the house I had just been thrown out of. My name is Amelia, and for 3 long years, I had been the invisible glue holding a crumbling family together. I worked double shifts at a diner that smelled of stale coffee and grease just to pay the rent for an apartment that wasn't even mine. It belonged to my boyfriend, Liam, and his sister, Bella. Liam was a dreamer, a musician who was always 1 gig away from making it big, while Bella was simply cruel. She treated me not like a roommate or her brother's girlfriend, but like a servant she hadn't bothered to hire. I remember the morning everything changed. It was a Tuesday, gray and relentless with rain. I had come home after a grueling night shift, my feet throbbing in cheap shoes that were wearing thin at the soles. I placed a small lottery ticket on the kitchen counter, a ticket I had bought with the leftover change from a customer's tip. It was a silly habit, a tiny spark of hope I allowed myself every week. I didn't think much of it. I just wanted to sleep. But sleep was a luxury I couldn't afford. Bella was already up, complaining that the milk carton was empty. Liam was on the couch, tuning his guitar, completely oblivious to the dark circles under my eyes. I made them breakfast, cleaned the dishes, and went to take a nap, hoping for just an hour of peace. I was woken up by a scream. Not a scream of terror, but of wild, uncontained hysteria. I rushed to the living room, my heart pounding in my chest. Bella was standing on the coffee table, clutching the lottery ticket I had left on the counter. Liam was hugging her, tears streaming down his face. "We did it. We are rich. Amelia, look, $50 million, Bella shrieked. For a moment, I smiled. I genuinely smiled. I thought, finally, we can breathe. Finally, I can stop working double shifts. Finally, we can be happy. I took a step forward to hug Liam, but he didn't turn to me. He was staring at the ticket with a look I had never seen before, a mix of greed and cold calculation. "We need to pack," Bella said, suddenly stopping her jumping. She looked at me, her eyes narrowing into slits. "Well, Liam and I need to pack. We are moving to the penthouse downtown immediately." I blinked, confused. "What do you mean? We can all move. It's plenty of space," I said softly. Bella laughed, a dry, sharp sound that echoed in the small room. "You? Oh, honey, no. This is our ticket, Liam's and mine. You are just the help. And frankly, we don't need a waitress dragging us down anymore." I looked at Liam, waiting for him to defend me, waiting for him to say that I had paid the rent for 3 years, that I had fed them, that I loved him. Liam looked down at his shoes, unable to meet my eyes. "Amelia, look, things are going to be different now. You don't really fit into the new lifestyle. It's better if you go." The words hit me harder than any physical blow. "But I bought that ticket," I whispered, my voice barely audible. Bella's eyes flashed with rage. You? You can't even afford rent. Liam gave you the money for groceries, so technically it's his money. It's our ticket. Now get out before I call the police and tell them you are trespassing." She grabbed my coat and threw it at me. Then she started tossing my things, my books, my few clothes, a framed photo of my late mother, into garbage bags. Out, she screamed. Go back to the gutter where you belong. I stood on the porch, the rain mixing with the tears I refused to let fall. I looked at Liam one last time. You are making a mistake, I said, my voice steady, despite the shaking of my hands. Not because you are leaving me, but because you didn't look at the back of the ticket. Bella slammed the door in my face. I heard the lock click, followed by their laughter. They thought they had won the world. They didn't know the world has a funny way of balancing the scales. I spent the next 3 nights in a cheap motel, eating instant noodles and staring at the peeling paint on the ceiling. I felt broken, used, and incredibly stupid for loving people who saw me as disposable. But amidst the pain, there was a burning ember of resolve. I wasn't going to let them steal my dignity. On the 4th day, I walked into the Lottery Commission's office. I didn't have a lawyer yet, just a crumpled receipt in my pocket and a copy of my ID. When I arrived, the receptionist told me that a claim had already been made for the winning ticket. A Mr. Liam Sterling and Miss Bella Sterling were scheduled for a verification meeting that very afternoon. I asked to speak to the head of security. It took hours of waiting, but finally, a stern-looking woman named Mrs. Higgins came out. You claim the ticket is yours? She asked skeptically. Yes, I said. And I can prove it. Before I buy any ticket, I have a habit my father taught me. I always sign my name and date on the back immediately, in permanent ink. If they try to cash it, you will see Amelia Vance written right across the barcode. Mrs. Higgins paused, her expression softening slightly. Come with me, she said. We walked into a room with a one-way mirror. Inside, I saw them. Liam was wearing a new suit that didn't fit him quite right, and Bella was draped in a fur coat that looked ridiculous in the humid afternoon. They looked arrogant, impatient. The lottery official in the room was holding the ticket with gloved hands. He flipped it over. I saw the color drain from Bella's face, even from behind the glass. Is there a problem? Liam asked, his voice trembling. This ticket, the official said, is signed, but not by either of you. Who is Amelia Vance? Bella stammered. She's our maid. She must have stolen it and signed it to trick us. The official looked at the security footage from the convenience store that Mrs. Higgins had pulled up on a tablet. It clearly showed me, in my waitress uniform, buying the ticket, signing it on the counter, and putting it in my pocket. Miss Sterling, the official said coldly, attempting to claim a lottery prize with a stolen ticket is a felony. We have called the police. I walked into the room then. The look on their faces was worth more than $50 million. Liam looked like he was about to faint. Bella looked like a trapped animal. Amelia, Liam gasped, rushing toward me. Amelia, baby, tell them. Tell them we were just keeping it safe for you. We were going to surprise you. I stepped back, avoiding his touch. Safe? I asked. You threw me out in the rain, Liam. You said I didn't fit your new lifestyle. I was confused. I was stressed, Liam cried, falling to his knees. Please, Amelia, we are family. Don't let them arrest us. I looked at Bella. She wasn't begging. She was glaring at me with pure hatred, even as the police officers entered the room. You planned this, she hissed. You wanted to humiliate us. No, Bella, I said calmly. I wanted to share this with you. I would have given you everything. But you showed me who you really are before I had the chance. You didn't lose the money because of me. You lost it because of your greed. I declined to press charges for theft, mostly because I wanted them out of my life, not in a courtroom where I'd have to see them again. The police let them go with a severe warning and a ban from the lottery premises. They left with nothing, no money, no penthouse, and no dignity. They had spent their meager savings on those new clothes, anticipating a fortune that was never theirs. The months that followed were a blur of paperwork and financial planning. I didn't move into a penthouse. I bought a small, beautiful cottage near the lake, a place with big windows and a garden, the kind of home my mother had always dreamed of. I quit the diner, not to be idle, but to finally go to design school. I wanted to build things, to create safe spaces for people, because I knew what it felt like to have no sanctuary. One evening, about a year later, I was sitting on my porch, sketching a new blueprint. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. A beat-up car pulled into my driveway. It was Liam. He looked terrible, thinner, older. He walked up the path slowly, holding a guitar case. "Amelia?" he called out. I didn't stand up. "What do you want, Liam?" "I just wanted to say I'm sorry," he mumbled, standing at the bottom of the porch steps. "Bella and we lost the apartment. She's staying with a friend, and I'm sleeping in my car. I was wondering, since you have so much now, maybe you could help me out. Just a loan? For old time's sake?" I looked at him, and I felt a strange sense of pity. Not love, not anger, just pity. He still didn't get it. He thought this was about money. He didn't understand that the poverty wasn't in his wallet. It was in his soul. "I can't give you money, Liam," I said gently. "Because if I do, you'll never learn how to stand on your own. You relied on me to pay your rent, and when you thought you didn't need me, you discarded me. If I give you money now, I'm just enabling the same weakness." "So that's it," he spat, his demeanor changing instantly from begging to bitter. "You are just a rich snob now? You forgot where you came from?" "No." I stood up then, and he took a step back. "I remember exactly where I came from. I came from the cold sidewalk where you left me. I came from the double shifts that fed you while you slept. I remember everything, and that is why I'm closing this door." I turned around and walked back into my house. I heard him shout a few insults, then the car door slammed, and he drove away. I locked the door, not out of fear, but out of finality. I walked to my kitchen and made a cup of tea. The house was quiet, but it wasn't empty. It was filled with the peace I had fought so hard to earn. I realized then that the lottery hadn't saved me. The money was just a tool. What saved me was that moment in the rain when I decided I was worth more than their cruelty. I looked at the reflection in the window, a woman who was no longer invisible, no longer a servant to someone else's ego. I was Amelia, and for the first time in my life, I was home. If you are listening to this, and you feel like you are being used or ignored, or that you are small, remember this. Your worth is not determined by how people treat you. It is determined by what you tolerate. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is sign your name on your own life. Turn your back on those who don't value you and walk away. The road might be cold at first, but I promise you, the destination is worth every step.